Hey everybody, Ben Winterman here about my Orbera balloon journey and its conclusion, which ended in the removal process of my Orbera balloon. There's a big surprise in this video, at least to me. I'm still going to sort of get to it chronologically and not just say it up front, so bear with me very shortly. I will get to it shortly. But it kind of changes, I guess, most of my videos, for at least the last, I don't know, for a while. Let's get there. So I had my removal scheduled and I was looking forward to it just to get it out of the way and be done with it. I'd been asked about getting it removed earlier on, and as previous videos have said, I decided to keep it in for the mental, mainly for the mental effect, because I hadn't felt it since, a couple of months in. So in order to get it removed, I had to fast like a week before and do liquids only for the last few days before that. And that was insanely difficult because I had no energy and I literally could not sleep the last 2 nights because I was getting leg cramps. And I looked it up and it was like lack of potassium. So it was because I wasn't eating. And so if you're going to get yours removed and you have to fast, look up taking potassium, I guess. I don't know, I even think about it. Until that night before. So it was rough. I was super excited because I initially had planned on going out to dinner to like a really nice, excited celebratory dinner the night of, to go to one of my favorite restaurants. Well, I went in to get it removed and they told me that I had to be fully sedated. Like whenever they put it in, it was a mild sedation. I don't know what you'd call it. I was asleep, but I didn't have like an intubation tube. But apparently whenever they take it out, there's more risk for like throwing up during the process and therefore asphyxiating. So they do a full intubation tube. So it was a more intense knockout for the removal. And they said because of the shock that your stomach is going to go into by this thing that's been in there, taking up all this space being gone, stick with liquids for a few days, which I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my mind. Not because of hunger, but just I was like, zero energy. I felt dreadful, and like I said, I was getting these horrible leg cramps and I couldn't sleep. I will say this too. They asked a lot of questions about how bad has your heartburn been? Well, I haven't had any. It really hasn't been bad. Like, I mean, this whole process, they keep on asking during my follow-up appointments with my doctor, how's your heartburn? Really not having any. Are you still taking the pantoprazole? I mean, every now and then, but I forget about it because I have no heartburn. Like, it hasn't been an issue for me. And that leads to the big, huge update craziness. I go under for the balloon removal. I'm in the room, and again, they asked about the heartburn because one of the nurses in the room, or preps, I don't know what her actual role was, said, how was your heartburn? And I was like, oh my gosh, didn't have any. I've been super lucky this whole process. Every update, every time I meet with my doctor, Dr. Sproul, it has been a non, like the appointments last 5 minutes because she's like, how you doing? I'm feeling great. Everything's fine. Still losing weight. And then I got knocked out, and then I was coming to in the recovery room, and I had the thing in my mouth still. And I was like, oh, it was horrible. If you've ever had that, it's like the worst. And the nurse comes in, like the procedure nurse comes in and takes out the thing, and I'm like still, groggy. And my wife comes in and she's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, I'm, waking up. And then the nurse says, did you tell him about the missing balloon? And she says, no, we haven't talked about it yet. And I'm like, the what? The what? And so I sort of am like, huh? What is she talking about? And then the nurse says, okay, well, I guess you're awake enough. Dr. Sproul went in to remove the balloon, and it wasn't there. There was no balloon. So what? And honestly, I can't stress this enough. I kind of felt that way for like since at least December of last year of 2021. It's now September of 2022, and I say that because I felt nothing. I talked a lot in the early videos about the delayed discomfort, that I wasn't not hungry, but that if I ate too much, then later I felt miserable. And that was like a really amazing catalyst to sort of force me into eating less because I didn't want to feel terrible later. And that went away. Everything went away. And for the past, like, however many months, I had nothing. So I was honestly not even that shocked. I was shocked that it happened. I was more surprised by their surprise. Dr. Sproul came in and said, well, you are 1 in 1,000, like it's a 0.1% chance of this happening, and it happened to you. And it was, everybody was shocked. Everybody was like, we've never had it happen where the balloon is gone. And it was gone, like no trace of it, like no like remnants of it there. But they were still concerned, and they wanted me to get an X-ray to make sure that it hadn't just gotten lodged somewhere else in my my digestive system. I wasn't too concerned about that because I felt nothing, and I feel like if that had happened, I would have some sort of other side effects. So back in early November, I made this video, which I'm about to play a clip from, doing an update, and I talked about being very sick to my stomach. About a week and a half ago, I got super sick to my stomach. And it was like, gross talk with Ben Winterman. It's been all diarrhea, nothing pukey, thank God. But it's been bad, and it's been about a week of it, that I've actually had to deal with it. Some days are way better than others. I was only nauseous like the first night, and of course everyone's like, is it the balloon? Is the balloon causing you to be sick? I don't think so. And I talked to my doctor about it, the balloon doctor, yesterday, and she basically said, if it's nauseous in upper stomach, it could be, but since it's lower stomach and, it's the other end, gross talk with Ben Winterman. It's probably just, probably just a stomach bug. So yeah, as gross as that video was, I was talking about how I was super sick to my stomach, and it was all coming out the back end, and it was a miserable few days. And I literally, like, one night I was laying in bed, and it was like, you're sick, like it wasn't like a gradual nausea build. It was literally just like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like in bed for a day and a half, like just miserable. And like, I've literally never been that sick with it's so gross saying it, but diarrhea for my whole life. I've never been that sick with it. And here I was so sick with it. And I literally think that's when it happened. So Dr. Sproul, I did my follow-up appointment with her. I did do the X-ray. I was clear. I did my follow-up appointment with her 5 days or so after the removal procedure, which didn't do anything, which, side note, huge bonus point to this, I got to eat whatever I wanted to that night because there was no shock to my insides. And it wasn't celebratory. It was more, I guess I'm celebrating that I'm done with the Orbera process, but that's weird. But yeah, it was, there was no balloon. So whenever I met with her for the follow-up a few days later, sorry, I tried not to jump around. I'm just kind of going with the train of thought here. She said that they put a green dye in the saline on purpose, obviously, so that if there were to be a leak in your balloon, that, and I didn't know this until then, that if there were to be a leak, that it was so that your pee would turn green or blue because of the dye, thus indicating something was amiss. That never happened. She said that her theories were that either it was a very slow leak of the balloon, and that it, just because it was coming out so slowly that I did not have any dye show up, or it was like so faint that I didn't notice it, or that it was a very quick leak and that it just essentially burst and that I just passed it very quickly. I'm leaning towards that one given my sickness at the end of October. So, what does that mean? Where am I at now, and what are we thinking? So I'm now 10 pounds to go to get to my ultimate weight. I've been hovering around there for months. My weight is about 260 pounds, and my goal is 250. And that means that I am going to need to lose that on my own. But holy crap, most of the time I thought I had the balloon in, I was on my own. So that makes me feel fantastic. A lot of people have asked, and I've talked about this in especially my most recent videos, do you think that you'll gain back all the weight? I don't, because obviously I've done it mostly on my own, which is kind of shocking. So I'm taking phentermine, which was prescribed by my doctor, and I'm going to still have some follow-ups with her because you can have negative side effects with phentermine, and she's like, let's make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm still going to see her once a month and ultimately hopefully get to my 250-pound goal. So here we are. Final thoughts on Orbera. Wow. It's been, I'm like kind of removed from it because it's been a week or so since this whole thing happened. But at the time it was like kind of gobsmacking, you know, like this whole time I've thought this thing's inside of me and I've been kind of living with that mentally. And now it's like, no, it's not. And it hasn't been for a while. So what are my final thoughts on Orbera? Was it worth it? Absolutely. I mean, honestly, even the whole, like, maybe it was a placebo, it doesn't matter. And I've talked about this plenty before too. Like, it was kind of you think that there's something in there and you paid a lot of money for it. So you live differently. Well, that worked. And now I got used to living that way. And so I don't know. It's so weird that it happened. Whenever I went in for my follow-up, again, Dr. Sproul said, well, there's certain patients that we have here that will stick with us forever, and you are now one of those because we've never had that happen. And she talked to her colleagues, and most of them have never had it happen. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I think it was great. The experience was great. I still recommend it, even given my strange and odd outcome of the balloon mysteriously disappearing at some point. The whole end of October was my opinion. The doctor didn't say, yeah, that was probably it. It was just kind of like, that's truly when I feel it because, and again, go back and watch my old videos if you don't believe me, but I from that point on, from the end of October, which was, 3 to 4 months in, I was kind of like, I don't even feel it. It's just, there's nothing. I have no heartburn. There's no ill side effects whatsoever. I don't even feel it. And probably because it was not there anymore. So I'm still, and honestly, my weight pretty much since it's been gone has been pretty close. I've lost 10 to 15 pounds in that time, essentially on my own. And again, it was a mental thing and a lot of like, well, I've got this thing and I've got to live differently, but apparently I didn't have the thing. So yeah, so that is my big update. That is the craziness and the strangeness and my final thoughts on it. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I do try and reply to comments on the videos. I swear it's like this weird thing that YouTube like alerts me that I have a comment on a video always while I'm like driving, and I think, oh, I need to reply to that later. If there's anything pressing, feel free to contact me through email or whatever else. If you can find me on social medias, Ben Winterman. I promise I'll get back to you. I want to be as helpful as possible. I don't benefit by more people doing Orbera. I just generally had a great experience overall, and even with the weirdness, it was fantastic. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you have anything else you want me to follow up on specifically, I gladly will. If you have any questions about the missing balloon, I'll definitely answer those as well as I can. But it's been a crazy journey. It's been a wild ride. I'm still down, 60 pounds since I started. So my life, it feels better. It feels great. It's amazing. I'm sorry. I know I'm rambling. And one guy commented, "Yeah, rambling." Brr. Don't watch. I don't know, man. I'm in a wedding in November, and I literally went to go buy pants for the wedding on the website, and my size now is the biggest size that they offer, which was like, man, if this would have been a year ago, I couldn't have gotten these pants, and now I can, and that's great. So anyway, it's been great. It's been a wonderful thing. I've been sharing these thoughts with y'all, and hopefully anybody who's watching it has found them valuable. For those of you who have done it yourself since watching my videos, I sincerely hope that it worked for you or is working for you, and that you're not having horrible side effects, and that you're losing weight, and that it's promoting the lifestyle change that it's supposed to. I know I've read reviews before I got mine done of people saying like, I gained all the weight back. Well, I don't wish that for anybody. Not because like I'm a huge cheerleader of this thing that I invested in, which I am, but like, man, I don't know. It's so tough. And the most watched video that I've uploaded was like the 2 weeks pre-procedure video, where I talked a lot about how food is such an addiction and it's so tough. And I genuinely, like, I hope for anybody who's struggling with it to get there. You know, even for me now, like every big event is like me mentally saying, well, I'll eat terrible for this, but then after this is over, I'll try and do better. And I'm getting better at not doing that, but it's so hard. It's so hard, especially with like most social things being centered around going out to eat or having people over for dinner or having a cookout or whatever the case may be. So for everybody out there who's struggling, best of luck to you. And if this isn't your thing, if the Orbera is not your answer, if you're one of those snarky people that used to always tell me it's just calories in versus calories out, man, just eat less, I hope that works. Like, genuinely, I hope it works for you. And if you end up having to have surgery, I hope that works for you too. Like, I hope that you don't have any negative, side effects, and that it works, and that you lose the weight and you're happy. And that's what all this is about. I hope for everybody. If you've watched 15 minutes into this dumb video of me talking and rambling, I genuinely hope and pray for you that everything ends up the way that you want it to, and that you are healthier and thinner and just feel better about yourself, because that's the worst part, is how you feel whenever you're dealing with all these things. So I don't think this will be the last video. I'll probably follow up with something else. Hopefully I'll have a video where I'm like, I hit my 250-pound goal and here's how I finished it out. The answer is going to be that I ate less. But hopefully I can make that video, and hopefully sooner than later. But for everybody who's watched and is still watching even this video, thank you so much. And if there's anything I can do to help, I hope that I can.